Welcome to Critical DMG, a podcast about two best friends who might have grown up but never grew out of their love for the Game Boy. We will be playing and reviewing every North American title released on Nintendo's original handheld console. This is episode 18. I'm Tony, and this is going to be only one of two times that it's fine to say "Okay, Boomer" on this show.
Oh, and I'm Jeff, and yeah, today we're talking about Boomer's adventure in Asmik World.
What a title.
What a title. Before we get into Boomer's adventure, Tony, can you remind us what our quiz from last week from Revenge of the Gator was?
Okay. Last week we had talked about how Revenge of the Gator was made by HAL Labs, who made all kinds of other games, still does, but definitely back during that 80s, 90s era. And I found a print ad for Revenge of the Gator and another game that HAL Labs made called Shanghai, and it was a dual ad for both games in one place. It showed this ferocious-looking dragon on an ocean of mahjong tiles with these really cute gators that were floating on a big pinball table. And it was adorable. It was a charming piece of advertising art for the time. But there was another character from another HAL Labs property that is just kind of hanging around in that same picture. And I wanted to know if anybody knew who it was.
Yeah, had you not said Mouthless, I definitely would have said Kirby. Mm-hmm. I want to say Waddle Dee. I actually don't know if Waddle Dee has a mouth or not, but
not usually, no.
That's what I'm going to go with because I enjoy Waddle Dee. So that's going to be my guess, even though I kind of doubt it.
No, it wasn't any Kirby related thing. Well, Lolo is in Kirby as a boss. You see Lolo and La La La, but they're from their own thing called The Adventures of Lolo, which we'll definitely see on the Game Boy. I'm pretty sure there's at least one of those here on the Game Boy.
Ah, yeah, I'm not super familiar, so
he's just a little blue guy with like little shoes and big eyes, but like no mouth, just like a blue ball.
Interesting. With that out of the way, quick opinion, should someone spin the batteries to enter Boomer's adventure?
Oh boy. I really had to think about this, and I don't know that I had a definitive answer even coming in. First blush, no.
I'm a hard no, but I'm a little sad about it.
That's fair.
We'll get into that as the episode moves on. Can you give us a back of the box read?
I sure can. Full disclosure, I think this is a good one. Okay. Boomer's adventure in Asmik World. Sure, maybe on the outside, Boomer is cute and a bit on the pink side. But on the inside, he's all fight. He has to be tough. Boomer is the last warrior left in Asmik World. Before Boomer can defeat the Dark Lord Zoozoon in his tower, Boomer needs to dig up an assortment of buried weapons and destroy Zoozoon's mutant guards. But if Boomer cannot find the key to the 8 different worlds of the tower, he will never battle Zoozoon for control of Asmik World. Time is running out, both for Boomer and the good people of Asmik World. They need your help now. I think it's pretty good, and the pictures on the back of the box are also very charming.
Yeah, without getting too much into, I guess, the aesthetics and that thing, mm-hmm. Typically we leave the story to that section.
Of course.
I agree. The manual had a bit more on the story, and I liked it. I thought it was charming. I thought it was a cute little intro to the adventure. This game released in April of 1990, so we're officially in Q2 of 1990.
Nice.
And it was published by Asmik, as you might have guessed, by the name of venturing into Asmik World.
I like that it also has a different name in Japanese, which is Teke Teke Asmik-kun World, mm-hmm. which is kind of like an onomatopoeia for like a little guy taking steps.
Oh, okay.
Which I think suits this game very well, which we'll get into. But I like that Asmik is kept in the titles of both of them because Boomer, Asmik-kun, whichever name you use for the little pink dinosaur, he's the mascot for Asmik the company.
Yeah, and I didn't know that until I think you had told me at the end of our last episode, but I didn't realize why it was that name in Japan, but that perfectly fits, and I can definitely see that, and it's a nice little name. Honestly, I couldn't find a whole lot more kind of about the background or anything about this game. Is there anything you want to kind of bring up about the background before we move into the mechanics?
Not a lot. Asmik is not really known for a lot of like heavy hitter type games of this era. So there might be some stuff that people might recognize that they've helped publish or had a hand in developing or whatever across this particular era of gaming. We'll have to come up with some sort of name for this particular like block, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But they were kind of prolific. They made plenty of stuff, but it's not necessarily anything that like might ring too many bells for people that are listening to the discussion of North American releases on the Game Boy.
Yeah, it looks like pretty much everything from the Super Famicom up to like PS2 looks kind of like its most recent releases. So they've had a run for sure. But with our background out of the way, let's dive into the mechanics. So, Boomer's Adventure, it's a puzzle adventure game. So the main goal is you're finding and digging up keys in each stage to progress up a tower to defeat Zoozoon, while dodging or using items to take care of random enemies. The D-pad moves you around, A will dig or fill holes, and B uses an item if you happen to have one. And that's pretty much the basics of the game. Pretty straightforward, out of the box, pretty easy to get a handle of. Tony, of the 8 worlds with 8 stages each, so 64 total stages, how far did you get?
Actually, I can tell you exactly where I stopped because the boss levels are like every 8, I think.
Yeah.
So I made it to boss number 2.
Okay.
and then I died enough times that I had to stop and put my 9-year-old to bed.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So each world, I guess, has its own boss. So each 8 stages. I made it to the first boss and defeated the first boss and then kind of called it there. I did want to do a little bit of a deeper dive before we get into the weeds, because there are some kind of intricacies that I think really will be important for understanding our opinions on things.
Yeah.
So the key and the item locations stay the same for each stage. There are essentially 3 types of items. You can have weapons to defeat different enemies, detection items, which help you find the key, and utility items, which change how quickly you move or dig and fill holes. Keys and some of the items will need to be found by digging them up. So you can't see them in the overworld. You have to know where they are and dig them up. Holes can be dug to trap enemies, allowing you to walk over them, very similar to Hyper Load Runner. But in this game, you can also fill the hole to defeat the enemy. They will respawn eventually, but temporarily will defeat the enemy. And enemies will drop their items if they fall in a hole or if you defeat them with a weapon. So enemies will also move about the map, digging their own holes, and they will pull items out of the ground that they find, including the key. So that's a little bit of a deeper dive into it.
I'm going to take that deeper dive and I'm going to run with it. So I completely understand what you said at the very beginning about how you are a definite no, but regrettably so. This game, I wanted to like, but there is so much about it mechanically that I really just can't get over.
100%.
And one of those big things is that some items are almost mandatory to make the experience something enjoyable.
Agreed.
Which is really rough to say, but without the, I don't know, I think it's like a compass I don't remember the item names directly out of the manual, so I'm just going to have to like wing it.
Just guess, yeah.
The compass is like, without it, you are literally just like digging holes randomly in the dirt.
I have the exact same note. So if you don't know where the keys are, then I don't get how this game is very fun. And I really don't know how you would beat it unless you have a compass. But the compass breaks after, we'll say 3 to 5 uses. I saw online 3 uses. The manual said 4. I'm pretty sure every time I used one, it was 5. Unclear.
Very.
When you use it, it points to what direction the key is, but then you have to use it again to kind of like triangulate where the key is.
Mm-hmm.
And if an enemy has picked up the key, there's no visual showing you that. There's no way to know that. So even if you go in the direction that the compass is showing you and literally dig every square that there is, it might be on an enemy that is now on the other side of the map. And yeah, it's just such a frustrating experience that it made it really unfun to play for me.
The fact that the enemies can dig stuff up, sure, fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they can take the key
with zero indication.
Yes, like there's no giveaway that they've got it. They don't change colors or get like an icon over them or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be one thing if you could, process of elimination, just start like knocking enemies out. Like, okay, I am sick of digging holes. I can't find the key anywhere underground, and enemies gotta have it.
Mm-hmm.
And you just start knocking them out. Okay, fine. Eventually you'll find the right one. I mean, as long as you do it in time, which we'll get into in a minute. But the fact that you can knock an enemy out and then a little while later they'll just respawn and start wandering around the level again means that you will never be able to completely pinpoint which enemy has the stupid key.
Exactly. And you can't see the whole map. While you are faster than most of the enemies, which I appreciate, you don't really know if there isn't an enemy that's kind of happening to avoid you by just going in an opposite direction the entire time. So even if there wasn't a time limit, which there is, there's really no guarantee that you would eventually find the enemy.
And fast is being generous. Everything is so slow.
Mm-hmm.
The digging is slow. The walking is slow. If you don't have the roller skates that make you go faster, if you don't have the shovel that makes you dig holes or refill your holes faster, everything takes so long.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you are just Teke Teke waddling along, up and down these passages, following these enemies, or God forbid, running from one of them that's on your tail or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But I did appreciate they let you like pivot in place. If you hold the A button down, you can just like turn without having to actually like walk forward.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I learned that in like my very last playthrough, because I was trying to figure out how to get into a corner and dig a hole in one of those levels. So that's nice, but it takes so long to dig up a hole that by the time you're done, the enemy's right there. And if the hole isn't done completely, when an enemy walks into it, they start undigging it while you're trying to do it. And they seem to be better at it than you. So you can't finish. You've got to run away or they'll get you.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to like this one because I don't have a problem with it mechanically. Like, I think what it is doing as a puzzle adventure game is fun and good. I like walking around and digging the holes and trying to locate the items. I thought it was actually pretty cute that the boss fights are, instead of worrying about digging a hole for this larger enemy, you're digging up bones to throw at them to do damage. So that was a nice way to break up
the monotony.
Yeah. Even when you say that the key placement and stuff like that doesn't change, like if you replay a level, everything else is random enough that it really doesn't matter. Like, even if I knew exactly where the key was, I need to make a beeline for the southeast corner or whatever, the enemies are moving in different patterns. And if one of them gets to that spot before me and they dig up the key...
Yeah, you have no way to know.
Yeah, like you might hear the noise that lets you know that like an item has been reclaimed or whatever, but good luck figuring out which enemy took it.
Yeah, and I guess if you're watching my footage right now and you're thinking, oh, this looks pretty straightforward and it looks like I know where I'm going, it's because I was cheating. I was using a guide, and so yes, I knew exactly where I was going. I decided to put my last set of gameplay first because I wanted to showcase a boss and all of that. So I was using a guide to get to the boss, but I feel like if I didn't use a guide, I would have just kind of made my own guide anyway of each level and kind of where the key was.
Right.
Because that was my first question was, oh, do these keys randomly spawn or are they in the same place? So I checked that relatively early on and found out most likely they're in the same place for every stage. And like those two styles of gameplay are not extremely fun to me. Either you know where they are through heaps of experience or using a guide or noting for when you beat the level, or it's just kind of this randomness, which neither of those game styles or play styles really feel fun or fulfilling to me.
This one is a good candidate for like the old style grid paper maps.
Yeah.
Very much so.
I did want to go back to, the fact that I didn't know that you could turn around using the A button immediately or pivot, as you said. I found the movement to be very clunky aside from being slow. Because if you imagine your character as kind of one square, you can move half a square. And you dig a hole in a whole square.
Yeah.
If you don't dig the hole directly over the item, you don't get the item.
No.
And then you have to refill that hole before you can dig the item out.
Right.
So even knowing exactly where the keys were, or more or less exactly where they were, there were times where I just didn't position myself correctly and then dug a hole and then, oh, okay, I need to refill it and then dig somewhere else. The fact that you move in half square increments, but can only interact with full squares, just made it feel clunky. I do kind of understand why they did that. Otherwise, you would be trapped into the motion for the entire square, which would feel even worse. But there were multiple times where I went to dig up the key. I happened to be a half square off. And by the time I was able to realize that, refill the hole, there was an enemy by me, and I either had to run or just take a loss.
It's not even just then. It's not even, oh, I can see an item, but I can't reach it because I dug in the wrong half pixel area or whatever. It's anytime. If you dig an item out of the ground only partially, and then you have to run because an enemy is coming or something, you can't just go back to that item and continue digging the hole. You have to bury the hole and then re-dig it out completely to get the item to actually come out. And I don't remember if we had mentioned this so far at this point, but you can get trapped in your own holes.
Yes, but you can get out of them. So that's nice.
Yeah, it does take a while depending on how large the hole is, which I think is even more frustrating because you can get trapped in your own holes depending on what size they are, but an enemy can only get trapped in a hole if it's full size.
I did find that a little annoying. Yeah, so as you start to dig a hole, it starts as kind of like a little crack that you can see, and then it grows, I think, maybe 3 or 4 times into a full-sized hole. You can get trapped in the one little thing, but enemies won't. They do seem to stop and refill them, so at least it'll slow them down. But if you're trying to get an item from them or anything like that, it doesn't do anything. So that is quite frustrating.
The passwords were nice that they gave those out.
Yeah.
But they don't give them out all of the time. It's only for like the boss level, and then after you beat the boss, they'll give you one.
Yep.
So it's nice that they were there, but if you are making the trek from level, what would it be, 9 to level 16 to get to the next boss, and you beef it, game over, there's nothing you can do to get back to those spots because the nearest password is the last boss you fought.
Yeah, exactly. And again, theoretically, your next playthrough through those levels should be faster because theoretically you should know where the key is.
Sure.
But again, that's like not, to me, that's not a fun puzzle game per se. I guess once you've solved a puzzle in most puzzle games, you kind of understand that. The next time you encounter it, it'll be easy. But yeah, there's something different about this game that it doesn't feel fulfilling to have to just go through the motions again and then hope an enemy hasn't picked up the key.
One thing I would be very curious about, which I know we sort of always wish that we could play multiplayer for the games that have that, but I would really like to experience this game multiplayer, I think. Like if there were two little dinos running around and both of them got to dig and, you know, use items and stuff like that at the same time, I think that that would really make up for a lot of the shortcomings, because in the same way that the game only feels like half as good if you don't have either the skates or the shovel or something to make you faster, something to make things move faster in a beneficial way to you. If you had a second body that was able to do the same things that you were, like on your side, you were both with the same end goal, then that too would sort of alleviate the problems, because at least that way, if you were being chased down by, you know, enemies, the second player could be digging for the key or use an item to save you or whatever else. So this one, I definitely wonder how much the multiplayer might improve the experience.
Yeah, I agree. And I wonder how they handle the key being in the same place, you know, because I think if one person kind of learns where it's supposed to be, maybe that takes a little bit of the fun away from it. But I do think it could be a very fun and different experience to play with two people, because exactly, one could be exploring while one is checking enemies or whatever. One thing I did like is that you have to work your way back down the tower. Maybe a little cheap as far as, you know, level design, because you're replaying through the same levels, but I did kind of find it funny that you work your way up, you beat quote unquote the final boss at halfway through the game, I guess world 4, and then you have to work your way back down to get out of the castle or out of the tower, which I think is something a lot of games just kind of overlook, and I kind of liked that.
I think that that lends itself to the knowing where the key placement already is. If you're gonna go all the way up the tower and then go back down, knowing where the key is every time, I don't think is such a guilty thing. I think it kind of actually makes sense a little more in that way. Like, yeah, I was just in this room.
I'm actually doing a rare in-show lookup, because I don't know if it's the same as your coming back down. So the one guide that I was using, thank you GameFAQs and Maddie XB, I think, the level guides or stage guides only go up to, it looks like halfway. So yeah, I guess on the way back down, it's the same. So that's kind of cool. Interesting. I think with that, that's kind of all I have.
I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
I'm ready to move on to the aesthetic section.
All right. Let's do it after this quick ad break.
Ad break.
All right, Tony. Let's try to get this in one take. Maybe stay to the script this time? You're live in 3, 2...
A horrible global phenomenon is being reported in the modern era. Children who don't know what a Game Boy is.
I don't think it's that serious.
If you or anyone you know has children suffering from a chronic lack of retro gaming, we recommend subscribing to the Critical DMG podcast. We're experts on the Game Boy.
I'm absolutely not.
And we here at Critical DMG will ensure that everyone knows about the Game Boy, whether they're young or old, pro or noob.
Does anyone say noob anymore?
So don't wait. Share this podcast with your friends and loved ones that have kids, your coworkers, their kids, your board game group's kids. Spread the word. Play it out the windows of your car in the elementary school drop-off lane.
Please don't do that last one.
With your help, we can work to undo the damages of time and make everybody appreciate the Game Boy. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, that last part's pretty good.
Dang it!
What's up, sport?
This game is too hard.
Aw, don't let it get you down. Why not take a break and listen to the Critical DMG podcast?
How would that help me?
It won't.
Then why would I listen to a show about two old people talking about Game Boy games for an hour?
Hey!
I think I'll just go back to Minecraft.
And we're back. Oh, okay. So I know that we ended the mechanics section on sort of a low note, and I hate to keep that going, but the music for this game was cute, but really repetitive.
Yeah.
And I got sick of listening to it after a while.
Yep. Yeah. No title music, which is always a little awkward. I always feel like, oh, did my game crash or freeze or something?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah, the music itself was fun enough, but it just got a bit annoying. We spoke a lot in Castlevania how you really got the sense that you were progressing through this timeline in this story.
Sure.
To me, it didn't really feel like you were progressing through. It was kind of the same old with slightly different stuff.
The enemies were different, once you got through things.
I loved the enemy design, and a lot of their sprites I thought were super cute.
I completely agree. They're very adorable.
Mm-hmm.
They're extra adorable in the manual and the promotional stuff that you might find.
Mm-hmm.
They're perfect little guys.
Who's your favorite, we'll say, minor enemy?
I mean, Manti, obviously, because
that's what I was gonna guess.
It's a bug.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also really liked Barfy, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say unfortunate name.
The long snouted, weird, running around bipedal looking guy.
But I do think Barfy is probably my favorite. Kind of also gives Birdo vibes, which I think this is the second episode that I've said that.
It's the snout.
Yeah, it's definitely the snout. But I think that's my favorite. Snouts also kind of fun, but really I liked all of them.
Boomer is a bad name.
I've
waited this whole time to say that, but I hate the name.
I want to be a fly on the wall for the conversation or the meeting that led that to be the name. I don't know if 1990 just had Boomer kind of meant something else then, but I would love to be a fly on the wall on that meeting.
I don't know. I don't know where they got Boomer from, but I don't like it. Compared to all of the other names in the manual for even the bosses, the first boss is named Bouncer. Why? Because it bounces all around the room.
Yeah.
Why Boomer?
Yeah.
Boomer doesn't make any sense apart from just it's a rad 90s name for our cool dinosaur.
Yeah.
Especially because it's not a mean look. It doesn't look mean. There's nothing intimidating about this dinosaur. It is literally running around on roller skates, digging holes in the ground, to find keys.
Yeah, it's not like this booming personality. The manual, and I believe the back of the box even mentioned how Boomer is the last resort of, the warriors left for Asmik World to defeat this Zoozoon. So yeah, it's not supposed to be a booming personality, a really big personality. I hadn't put too much thought into it, but yeah, I agree with you. It just doesn't fit, especially with how they named other things and really the story, which I know I've been harsh on stories in puzzle games, specifically in Hyper Load Runner and Voxel.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm okay with stories as long as they're cute or
Bananas.
yes, like more whimsical.
Nonsensical, but in a charming way and not like a try hard way.
Exactly. So I was fine enough with the story. I didn't, really love it. It's no Quirk with Quirk the Tomato saving his girlfriend, but I liked it well enough. I thought it was fine. I thought it was cute.
Yeah, it's okay. I would have liked it better if Boomer was saving like another dinosaur or something like that. It just feels very generic, like gotta climb the tower to save the world sort of thing.
That's fair.
But you never see any of the, and I mean, maybe correct me if I'm wrong because you watched playthroughs that made it to the end of the game, but like you never see any of the other characters that Boomer is supposed to be saving. You never see any of the inhabitants of Asmik world other than the enemies of the tower. So like it doesn't feel like invested in that way.
That's a good point. I did like midway through you beat Zoozoon, the kind of big bad of it all, and he just like starts crying and like rocket ships away, which I thought was kind of funny and interesting. But yeah, once you beat the game, as far as I can remember, if I'm wrong, let me know. I apologize. I was watching playthroughs. I didn't get there myself. But I believe, when you beat it, you do get a kind of cutscene that says Boomer was celebrated and all of that. Again, from what I remember, you don't really see the village or anything like that. So a little disappointing there.
Wow. I only have one last thing to say about the aesthetics section here before we move on, and that is that I think the sounds are okay. I don't think I want to put them in this episode. Sorry for anybody that does like when we kind of showcase the sounds that we talk about, but I think that they serve their purpose. I don't necessarily think that they are good sounds, because they're a lot of like shrill, like whistling kind of noises and things like that. But I understand what they're supposed to be conveying. For example, the radar, I guess is what it's supposed to be.
Detector.
A detector, okay. That like lets you know if an item is nearby. I really like that it actually increases and decreases the volume of the detector noise as you get close to an item. And it's not just like, oh, you're within range, ping, 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 at the same volume every time. It goes up and down the farther away you go from the item.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's really clever, and I appreciate that they did that, but the sound is kind of annoying, especially when it's going along with all of the other noises that are happening at the same time. It can be a lot. The enemies are making noises when they find items or when they dig, and if you have the detector, it's going off and your digging makes noise, and it can be a lot.
Yeah.
This is one that I definitely would not begrudge anybody from, if they were going to play it, to do it with the sound off.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I did not find the detector useful enough to make up for it.
I did not either. That's why I specifically said you need the compass, because I could not get a bead on what the detector was telling me to do. Even though I do think they tried to design it well, and I'm sure if you know the game better, it actually works, but I couldn't figure it out.
That's it for me. Do you have anything else before we wrap it up here?
No, I think, let's get back to our immediate opinions.
Okay. I don't know that I've come out of the discussion with a swayed opinion. I know that there is a sequel to this game. I think it's Japan only.
Yeah, I believe it was only released in Japan.
But I would be curious to look into that one, to see if it does improve on what's here or if it is just a rehashing. Because while I don't think I can recommend this, save your batteries on this one.
It's so close.
Yes, it is. It's so close to being really a high point. Like, we've had good puzzle games on the Game Boy because they have been mechanically strong, and this one is very mechanically strong. It's just hamstrung by I don't know if it's that it's too clever. You know, it's trying to be too clever and put too many things for you to interact with.
Maybe.
That it doesn't need. I don't know. It's a shame.
I agree.
Because I really do want to like it way more than I do. It's adorable to look at, and there is a fun game here, but only when the circumstances are right. You know, if you get those items that make the experience have less friction, then I think it's worth it. But otherwise, from the default, there's too much that I just don't enjoy.
Yeah, I'm still hard no. But yeah, I feel bad about it because I feel like it is so close. If they just maybe had a constant compass that kind of pointed the way, or, you know, just made a few different tweaks to it, I feel like it would be a really fun game. I think the fact that you can dig and fill in the hole to defeat enemies is a fun step forward from Hyper Load Runner. I think there are a lot of things here that I really, really liked. Mm-hmm. It was just too difficult to get to the end condition unless you already knew what it was. And yeah, I think just a few tweaks could have made it really, really fun to play. They just don't exist. So
I would definitely play this before I would ever go back to Hyper Load Runner.
I would. Oh, would I agree with that?
So I don't know if you had seen this, but I saw this game referred to as a trap 'em up.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious. But when compared to Hyper Load Runner, here on the Game Boy specifically, from the Load Runner that we played to Boomer's Adventure in Asmik World, I would absolutely go back to this one before I ever touched Hyper Load Runner again.
Yeah, I would have to think about that more. Maybe I'll touch on that in the year in review episode.
Right.
Because yeah, I remember feeling worse playing this game than I did Hyper Load Runner, but I feel overall better about it, if that makes sense. Like I said, it's so close. It is so close, but it just misses the mark in such a way that I think makes it worse for me. But
that's fair. This is a dour one.
Which is funny because we're talking about this cute little pink dinosaur who's
right?
Yeah, just waddling around, but
it turns out the story really was that serious this whole time. Okay, quiz time. Are you ready?
Quiz time. I'm currently sitting at 81.3%. So doing pretty well.
Yes.
Again, need a perfect score to raise that, but hopefully we don't drop it too much.
All right, I have high hopes for this one. Okay, I'm not going to say anything more than that, but I have high hopes for this one. So if you're ready, I've got question 1. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Boomer's Adventure in Asmik Land quiz. Question 1. We got one of the absolute cutest manuals for this game. Full of simply adorable character art on just about every page. The real highlight were the amazing, scribbly enemy characters in the final few pages. While some of their names might have been a little ho-hum, their depictions are precious and beyond reproach. Still, we've got some real snoozers on the names here, including which of these? A. Creepy the Worm. B. Snouts the Tadpole. C. Manty the Mantis. Or D. All of these are real.
Yeah, all of those are real. I honestly didn't know Snouts was a tadpole, but I can see it now.
That's just my guess. Also, yes, it is D. Ding ding. But yeah, that's just my guess of what it's supposed to be. I feel like it looks like a tadpole. It's kind of got like a little Pac-Man face with like a little tail on the end.
Yeah, I'll buy it. First one correct.
Prior knowledge. There are 7 different enemies actually, and their names are Creepy, Speedy, Crawler, Manty, Flippy, Barfy, and Snouts.
Yeah, at first, when I first started reading them, I felt like they were kind of doing the Pac-Man thing with the naming convention.
Me too.
Barfy maybe still makes me feel that way, but all of them, all the other ones make sense except for that one to me.
Flippy is like a weird, like, snot
ooze
biped or something. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but anyway. All right, you got your first one, as always. So, are you ready for number 2?
Give me question 2.
We might know the adorable pink dino here as both Boomer and Asmik-kun, but that's not the only name that the little guy has been given over the years. It might have only been editorial gossip of the time, but in Nintendo Power Issue 9 from November-December of 1989, there's a blurb at the bottom of page 93 that claims the Asmik Company, quote, recently held a contest to give their mascot a name. And despite this winning name not actually being used in the Game Boy debut, I still want to know what that contest winning name for him was. Was it A, Goober, B, Pinky, C, Bronte, or D, Littlefoot?
See, if the contest was now, it would be like Dino McDino Face or something. But it wasn't today. I feel like Pinky and Littlefoot are already names of things.
Littlefoot definitely is.
Yeah, Littlefoot.
That's there before time.
I'm assuming is IP. Pinky is a ghost, right? In Pac-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's enough for them to not use it. I think you say Goober too much, that would be an answer that you would put in.
Dang.
But he's not a brontosaur. I'm going to say Pinky, even though I think that might be an issue with Pac-Man, but I'm going to say Pinky.
No, it was C.
Oh, I was going to go C, and then I overthought it
You
at the
did.
last moment because I was looking at a picture of him, and I was like, he's not a brontosaurus.
I know.
Obviously. Oof.
Yep.
Okay.
The gossip section claims that the, quote, winning entry gave it the name Bronte, which I don't know if I like more or less than Boomer, to be fair, but I would love to know where Bronte came from, and I would also love to know what some of the runner-up names were.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I don't know. What do you think, Bronte or Boomer?
I think I like Bronte better, but I'm not in love with it.
Bronte's Adventure in Asmik World?
Because again, he's not a brontosaurus.
That's true. You know, it sounds like an adult name, like the name an adult would give. Like, yeah, name him Bronte. And then, like, the kids are like, that's not a brontosaurus. Who cares? Bronte. Well, you're 1-0. That's fine.
As long as I get this last one.
That's right. You ready for the last one?
Yep.
Question 3. Maybe surprisingly, we won't be getting another romp with Little Boomer here on the Game Boy, at least not in the States. Down the line, Japan will be getting a sequel to this game, and it'll be called Asmik-kun World 2. But it never saw a release outside its home country. We sort of talked about that. Additionally, another game featuring the Little Dino was released only in Japan in 1991, but on the Famicom, which is the Nintendo for anybody not aware. This time, it was called just Asmik-kun Land. Unlike the other two games, it's not of the puzzly genre, and instead is something more typical of the era. What kind of game is Asmik Land on the Famicom? Is it A, a first-person dungeon exploration game, B, a colorful 2D platformer, C, a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, or D, an educational game show?
Oh. I mean, part of me feels like they're just ripping Super Mario Land. So, a platformer. But I could definitely see it being like a dungeon crawler as well, because I kind of feel like that's what this game is to some extent.
I can see that, yeah.
I still think the platformer makes more sense, though, because, yeah, first person just kind of throws me off, I think. So I think I'm going to go B.
And you're right. It's B.
Let's go. I was worried there.
Yeah, I know. I could tell. I was trying to stay objective, but it's hard. The Famicom game Asmik-kun Land was released in 1991 and was a brightly colored action platformer that saw, I'll say, our favorite little pink dinosaur trying to wake the dragon ruler of the world and return Asmik Land to a paradise for everyone. It's unfortunately notorious for being slow and having some of the typical difficulty issues of the time, but a good soundtrack and great visuals.
Interesting. I would like to hear the soundtrack of it and see how it compares to this one.
It looks really good. Like watched some footage of it just to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's really like Kirby's Adventure levels of like color and character. I feel like really, really cute.
Fun. Well, 2 out of 3. So that brings me down a little bit to an 80.4, but still above an 80%. So we're doing well. But let us know what question our listeners can be answering this week.
Okay, so as a publisher, Asmik Ace Incorporated helped put out plenty of games on different systems all the way from the Famicom up until the GameCube PS2 era. While not many of them would be considered very well-known classics of their time, there is one game that they published and released in 1998 that gets plenty of love from fans of surreal and experimental game experiences. Developed for the PS1 by an eclectic artist's own development company, which game would that be? I cannot imagine you have any idea.
I do not. I don't even know I could name a single game in the genre that you said. So, yeah, I have no idea. But maybe our listeners do.
Maybe.
And if you do, let us know. Thanks for listening to Critical DMG. If you would like to support us further, please leave a review wherever you get your podcasts and maybe recommend us to a friend or anyone else you might know who would like the show. It really helps us out, and we appreciate it. That brings us to an end of Boomer's adventure. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, we'll have to say goodbye to the cute little pink dinosaur. Luckily, we won't have to help him through Asmik World anymore, though.
Ha! Rude.
Join us next week when we talk about Fist of the North Star, 10 big brawls for the king of the universe.
Omae wa mo shindeiru. That's going to be wild. I can only imagine what they did with the Fist of the North Star game in 1990.
Yeah, we'll find out next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.